ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka, text number 30. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta shaucham bata sadhu kurvate. Nirasta shaucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkaralochanaha patihi. Yasam grihat pushkaralochana patir. Na jatu apaiti arhati bihi hridi sprishan. Na jatu apaiti arhati bhir hridi sprishan. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta shaucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. Najatu apaiti arati bhir hridi sprishan. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta shaucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. Najatu apaiti ariti bhir hridi sprishan. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta shaucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. Najatu apaiti arhiti bhir hridi sprishan. Eta param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta saucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. Najatu apaiti ahriti bhir hridi sprishan. Etaha param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta saucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. Najatu apaiti ahriti bhir hridi sprishan. Eta param stritvam apastapeshalam. Nirasta saucham bata sadhu kurvate. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir. न जातु अपैति आहृति भिर्हृदि स्पृशन् एता परं श्रीत्वम् अपास्तपेशलम् निरस्तशौचं बत साधु कुर्वते यासां गृहात् पुष्करलोचनपति न जातु अपैति आहृतिभिर्हृदि स्पृशन् एताः all these women param highest stritvam womanhood apastapeshalam without individuality nirasta without saucham purity bata sadhu auspiciously glorified kurvate do they make yasam from whose grihat homes pushkaralochanaha the lotus-eyed patihi husband na jatu never at any time apaiti goes away ahriti bhi by presentation hridhi in the heart sprishan endeared. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. Translation with repetition. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The devotees of the Lord are purified souls. As soon as the devotees surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely, the Lord accepts them, and thus the devotees at once become free from all material contaminations. Such devotees are above the three modes of material nature. There is no bodily disqualification of a devotee, just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. Women, merchants, and laborers are not very intelligent, and thus it is very difficult for them to understand the science of God or to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. They are more materialistic, and less than them are the Kiratas, Hunans, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulkashas, Abhiras, Kankas, Yavanas, Khasas, etc. But all of them can be delivered if they are properly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. By engagement in the service of the Lord, the designated disqualifications are removed, and as pure souls, they become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. The fallen girls under the clutches of Bhaumasura sincerely prayed to Lord Sri Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. The Lord therefore accepted them as His wives, and thus their lives became glorified. Such auspicious glorification was still more glorified when the Lord displayed with them as the most devoted husband. The Lord used to live with His 16,108 wives constantly. He expanded Himself into 16,108 plenary portions, and each and every one of them was the Lord Himself without deviation from the original personality. The Shruti mantra affirms that the Lord can expand Himself into many. As husband of so many wives, He pleased them all with presentations, even at a costly endeavor. He brought the Parijata plant from heaven and planted it at the palace of Satyabhama, one of the principal queens. If therefore anyone desires the Lord to become one's husband, the Lord fulfills such desires in full. Thus ends the Transcendental Bhaktivedanta Purport. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna-prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami-niti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the women of Hastinapura are talking on the rooftops, and these are the verses that are describing various glories of the Lord and His devotees. And in this verse, it's talking about the queens of Dwaraka, and here it is being said, Etaha param sritvam apastapeshalam nirastausham bata sadhu kurvate. Bata sadhu, auspiciously glorified. So these women, the queens of Dwaraka, they are being very auspiciously glorified without nirasta saucham, without individuality, without apastapeshalam, without individuality, and without purity. So these 16,100 wives, or the princes who were captured by Bhaumasura, and they were staying in that captivity for so long, Prabhupada says, according to Vedic culture, even if a woman is away from home for even one night, she is not considered pure or accepted. What to say if someone is staying so far? So one can say one is not pure because of staying out for so many long days. Or one may say that, these women, the queens of Dwaraka, they had no individuality in the sense their only business was to please the Lord. Sometimes people like individuality, they want independence, they want something that they're uniquely identified with. But here, these queens are being auspiciously glorified. Their lives they're glorifying, although they don't have these two things. How can that be possible if someone is not uniquely individual and not pure? How can their lives be glorified? So that is being explained in the purport nicely by Prabhupada. And then the verse is also talking about the nature of the Lord. Yasam grihat pushkara lochana patir najatu apaiti. Never at any point of time he goes away. The Lord never goes away from the grihat, from the house of these queens. The Lord expanded himself into 16,108 forms, and he stayed with each one of them in the palace and never left them at any point of time. And not only he did that, aharite bhir hridis prishan, he gave so many valuable presentations so that all the queens were all pleased. So, the first thing that Prabhupada is talking is about purity. In the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the devotees of the Lord are purified souls. Now, one may see that, this person has this past, this person has that past. There may be so much past to an individual, but as soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, one becomes purified. So all the past disqualifications, the past behavior, the past habits, past nature may exist, but as soon as one becomes a devotee of the Lord, one becomes purified. Now, what is the process? How does one become purified? What does it mean that the devotees of the Lord, who are those and how do they get purified? Prabhupada is explaining, as soon as the devotees surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely. So unless one does not surrender unto the Lord sincerely, one is not actually a devotee. So surrendering is a very, very important principle. And Prabhupada is emphasizing by saying sincerely. And it is being said, as soon as, immediately, as soon as one surrenders sincerely, the Lord accepts them. For the Lord to accept something, the Lord is Shadaishwarya Purna, He is complete in Himself. He does not need anything. He does not need anyone's service, neither He needs anyone to offer Him something. Some presentation, something. No, He does not require all of them. But when a devotee surrenders sincerely and wants to render service with devotion, he accepts them. And thus the devotee at once becomes free from all material contamination. As conditioned souls, we are impure because we are influenced by material contamination. Material contamination means we think we are part of this world. It means that we want to enjoy this material world. We want to lord over other living entities. We want to act independently. We want to enjoy independently. These are all material contaminations. Whereas a soul, in its pure state, in its pure consciousness, it does not want to lord over, rather it wants to serve. It does not want to enjoy independently, rather wants to give enjoyment. But when the material contamination overpowers or covers the soul of its pure consciousness, the other tendencies of the living entity emerge. And as soon as those material contaminations exist, one cannot surrender. Surrender becomes very difficult. So, I will just read out few things that Srila Prabhupada is talking about surrender. Prabhupada says, sometimes when we hear that great sages and devotees go to the forest and engage themselves in devotional service or meditation, we become surprised. How can one live in the forest and not be taken care of by anyone? So it's a natural question. One of the things that we all look for is protection. We all want to be safe. So we do not want to go to a place where we are alone or there can be some danger. But how is that the great sages and devotees go to the forest and stay there alone, doing devotional service or meditation? So Narada Muni is explaining that such persons are well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who are those persons? Those who have taken Sharanagati. Surrender means acceptance or firm belief that wherever the surrender soul lives, he is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is never alone or unprotected. Actually, the Lord is always present. He is always overseeing. He is always sanctioning. We are not independent. We are not alone. But as soon as we think we are alone, then fear has to be there. There has to be anxiety. But as soon as we know the Supreme Lord is present, there is no fear. And one knows that the Supreme Lord, just like Haridas Thakur, he was staying in a cave and doing bhajana, and there was also a snake in that cave. All other people became very afraid that what will happen to Haridas Thakur, and they came and started to tell, oh, you should move away from this place, you should move away from this place. But Haridas Thakur knew that the Lord is present in his heart, a super soul, and the same Lord is also present in the heart of the snake. And if Lord wants to give protection, there is no problem. Because Lord is giving protection, and therefore is not worried. but just for the sake of relieving the anxiety of those people, he moves out of that place. So, Sharanagati, full surrender, means one should have faith in the Lord. So, this is first important. Avashya Rakshape Krishna. Krishna will always protect me. That is surrender. If we are not having faith that Krishna will protect, then we have to depend on some other material source to protect ourselves. In another place, Prabhupada writes, surrender means not that we demand something from the Lord, but that we completely depend on His mercy. Surrender means not to expect anything in return. Just because I'm doing something, I want something back, either a material profit or gross or subtle. If a person wants material profit from devotional service, Krishna condemns such materialistic desires. To desire material opulence while engaging devotional service is foolish. Although the person may be foolish, Krishna, being all-intelligent, engages him in his devotional service in such a way that he gradually forgets material opulence. The point is that we should not try to exchange doing some devotional service for material prosperity or for some other gain. That is not complete surrender. If Krishna wants to keep one in a poverty-stricken condition, or he may keep in an opulent position, in either case, the devotee should simply be very serious about trying to satisfy the Lord by rendering service. One's own condition does not matter. Devotee means what is my condition, in what condition I am there is not important. What is important is, am I trying to satisfy the Lord? When the surrender is not proper, there is some difficulty. Just like as we see in this purport, Prabhupada towards the end writes about Lord Krishna brought Parijata plant from the heaven and implanted it at the palace of Satyabhama, one of the principal queens. So this, as we were discussing in the last class about Bhaumasura's pastime, and after that, Lord goes to the heavenly planet after the pastime of Bhaumasura and gives back the earrings of Aditi to Indra, because Indra was the one who comes and explains about the trouble that the Bhaumasura is creating. And after the Lord killed Bhaumasura, he takes those earrings of Aditi and gives back to Indra. So what does Indra do? So Indra, when Lord and Satyabhama, they were there, he welcomed them very nicely. But what happens? So what happens when, without permission, Satyabhama had plucked a Parijata plant, which is not to be found on the earth planet. Satyabhama took the Parijata plant. Immediately Indra became very agitated. Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama for taking away the plant. So you can see, they welcomed the Lord when the Lord brought the earrings. But as soon as Lord took something, they created opposition. Fight with the Lord. So Prabhupada writes that this was self-interest on the part of Indra. He offered his prayer, tipping down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna, but as soon as his purpose was served, he became a different creature. For the purpose is one's own, then one is one kind person. As soon as the purpose is not met, one is another creature. That is the way of dealings of materialistic men. Materialistic men are always interested in their own profit. For this purpose, they can offer any kind of respect to anyone, But when their personal interest is over, they are no longer friends. So where is the test of surrender? The test of surrender is not when one is receiving something, but when something is being taken away from one. When the false ego, when the false pride, and other things are being taken away, how does one act? You can see here Indra, Prabhupada's writing further. This selfish nature is not only found among the richer class of men on this planet, but is present even in personalities like Indra and other demigods. So we can see, if they have something to gain, they will act so nice, so pleasing. They will treat, oh, you are a nice devotee, very nice. Prabhu, what can I do? What can I do? As soon as something is said, something is told to be done which is different from their interest, immediately the servant becomes the supreme master. How can you say this? Why do you say this? So it is important for us to understand what is our state of consciousness when things go against what we think. Do we still carry the attitude of being a servant? Or the real nature of ours, of who we are, we exhibit? It's very important. Too much wealth makes a man selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and is condemned by great devotees like Sukadeva Goswami. Actually, it's a disqualification. Sometimes too many material things, if not properly dealt under the guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord, all skills, all wealth, all material qualifications are actually disqualifications. Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shri Bher. Nice birth, nice education, beautiful, lot of wealth, they all can become poison. So it is very important. The way the Indra is behaving is not actually how a surrendered devotee behaves. So it is very important that we should not expect anything from the Lord when we are surrendering. That's very, very important. It is not that we do some exchange with the Lord for surrendering something. Another place Prabhupada writes, self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. Independence at the root of desiring and thinking is the problem. As soon as there is an independence to act away from the interest of the spiritual master, that itself is the first act of deviation, and after that it is not possible to reconcile what one wants to do and what the authorities are asking or what the Lord is asking. Because at the root I have another desire. The first step to function is to understand what I am doing. Is it the desire of my authorities and the spiritual master? If one deviates away from the desire of the superiors and the spiritual master, then where is the question of surrender? Every activity after that is meant to please oneself in certain ways. We may be doing a lot of things, but if it is not according to the desire of the Lord and the spiritual master, it has shramayava hi kevalam, it has not much value. It does not satisfy the spiritual master. Therefore, it is very important to understand how are we functioning. Are we dependent on the Lord or are we not dependent on the Lord? Are we thinking as what the Lord wants? What the spiritual master wants. Therefore, careful hearing helps us to understand what is the desire of the spiritual master, what is the desire of the superiors. If there's no careful hearing, we cannot understand what is their desire. As soon as one functions without hearing what is the desire, what is that they want, there is no question of service. It is a question of me doing something without understanding what is needed. Devotional service, unlike other processes, is not done independently. Someone may acquire some sort of knowledge by independent study. Someone may do some Ashtanga yoga independently. Maybe some other things they may do here and there independently. And maybe they may make some advancement. But devotional services never functioned independently. There is no one who attends to pure devotional service acting independently. Actually, in the beginning stages of devotional life, we are not purified souls. And when we are not purified souls, our service we cannot render service to the Lord purely. And the Lord does not accept service which is not pure. So how do we function? We function through a bona fide spiritual master, a bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord. When the spiritual master says, oh, okay, here is a sincere devotee, disciple who is trying to serve, please accept. Then the Lord may accept. Then the Lord accepts actually, because the pure devotee is saying to accept. And therefore, in the beginning, it is very important that we function under guidance. Otherwise, it leads to something else. As it is said, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatikam Vidhim Vina Aikantika Harer Bhaktir Utpati Eva Kalpate. Bhakti cannot be done whimsically. It has to be based on principles laid down by Shastras and by Guru. Any whimsical act of devotion or activities of so-called devotion does not necessarily lead to the highest perfection if they are not based properly. In fact, even in the purport, Prabhupada writes in one place, all these different kinds of people, Kiratas, Hunans, Andhras, Pulindas, and etc., but all of them can be delivered if they are properly engaged in devotional service of the Lord. Properly engaged. There is a proper way to engage in devotional service. If one does not learn a proper way to engage in devotional service, the progress is slow. Devotional service is all pure, yet because it is not applied properly, the progress is slow. So, this is very important that we should understand the meaning of surrender. So, surrender means you approach somebody where your intelligence is nothing. Therefore, you have to surrender. So, we must know we are not intelligent. As soon as we think we are intelligent, our understanding of surrender does not come. As soon as I think I am greater than my superior, there is no question of surrender. Oh, he is also like me, what is there? I know more, I have seen more, I have done something more. And where is the question? As soon as in the mind, if there is no idea that I am inferior, there is no question of surrender. One has to learn to recognize that I am not superior. Even if one by chance appears, still one should act not like that, but as an inferior. Surrender means everyone is puffed up with so-called knowledge and he thinks that I'm perfectly all right, my knowledge is perfect, why shall I surrender? Why shall I surrender? I'm perfect. My knowledge is perfect. But if you want to receive knowledge actually from the person who has actual knowledge, then you must surrender there. This is a process. Without surrender, we cannot get knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is not revealed in the hearts without surrender. Another place Prabhupada writes, not only just to surrender, but one should act in a way to please the spiritual master. Very important. Unless we don't take to Sharanagati, we will not see real devotional process. Some sort of periphery things we might be doing. Surrender is the first step in devotional service. And surrender is not part-time surrender. When I like, one day, once in a week, it is not. It is a life of surrender. And it has to be done sincerely. Sincerity of the purpose is so important. Sincerity of the purpose, not to deviate whimsically. So here we can see that how these 16,100 princes who were captured simply by the sincere prayer, sincere act of devotion, Lord accepted them. There is no other means by which one can get Lord's acceptance. Not by knowledge, not by skill, not by wealth, not by some yogic power. No. Only by devotion, pure surrender and devotion. And such a person can immediately be purified. Is immediately purified from all material contamination. There is no influence of three modes of material nature on a person who surrenders unto the Lord. Devi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mama eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. The so-called insurmountable material energy can be easily surmounted because the Supreme Lord is the master of that energy. And if He orders, then one is immediately freed from the influence of material nature. Mam cho avyavicharena bhakti yogena sevate. If one does avyavicharena bhakti without any adulteration, chaste means I will serve the Lord in all circumstances without being diverted to here, there, with some other motive, for this reason, for that reason. No. Unalloyed devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. Immediately one rises above the three modes of material nature. One becomes transcendental to the three modes of nature. The process is simple. And this is not restricted to one class of people. There is no bodily disqualification of a devotee, just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. Women, merchants, and laborers are not very intelligent, and thus it is very difficult for them to understand the science of God or to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. They are more materialistic, and less than them are the Kiratas, Hunans. But all of them can be delivered if they are properly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. How can one properly engage in the devotional service of the Lord? By taking shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord. The potency of a pure devotee of the Lord is extraordinary, that anyone can be transformed into a highest Vaishnava. This is very unique opportunity that is provided by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, where there is no bar. It is almost impossible to think that the Westerners could be made into Brahmanas, sannyasis, and be allowed to preach, and they can be transformed so much that they do so much of devotional service of glorifying the Lord, is unheard of, is unthought of. The presence of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, so many material contaminations, so many different kinds of addictions, so many things can all go away and give their entire life to the service of the Lord. When one takes devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master means to follow the instructions sincerely without deviating an inch. One should try the best of one's ability. In one of the recollection by a devotee in Prabhupada Memories, he says that, it's a longer story but just coming to the point, Prabhupada looks at him and he asks him, "Are you trying to understand philosophy?" And this devotee recollects that Prabhupada is specifically saying, "Are you trying? Are you trying? Are you making an endeavor?" Sincere endeavor, we may not be perfect, we may not be best, but there is to the degree one can put one's endeavor, one should sincerely put that endeavor to follow the instruction. Sincerity of purpose and one's own ability to whatever degree one can engage in the service is not bad. One may be able to do little bit, one may be able to do more. But the amount of energy one has, if one has put 100% of energy and did only little, and another person had so much energy and did, and if one had little, full energy and little he has done, but another has done so much but not has used full energy, is still not fully in his surrender and his full application of devotional service. So it is not a material comparison. The Lord and the spiritual master are seeing what is in our heart. How sincerely are we engaging in the service? Then whatever is missing, they will provide. Sometimes we get captivated by everything around us. Oh, this person, this facilities, that thing. Yes, but if we are sincere in our heart, the Lord at the appropriate time will provide everything, whatever is missing. But it is a question of ye yathamam prapatyante tam sataya bhajamyam. To what degree are we surrendered? To that degree the Lord reciprocates. How did, during one of the first times they were celebrating the Janmashtami festival at New Vrindavan, they had to set up a new kitchen on the top of a hill. There was nothing, they were just setting up a kitchen. And they had no facility, they were just cutting down all the trees and making a space for a kitchen, and some random barrels, some stoves, some facilities which are not proper. And they are cooking for hundreds and hundreds of people. Actually, when we are very eager to serve by the internal potency of the Lord, whatever is missing will be provided. The external circumstances will not prevent us from doing services. It may not manifest immediately, but the enthusiasm will not be hampered because of any other reason. The devotees in the initial days had very little facilities. Rather, they were more encouraged to do more devotional service. Because devotional service is not dependent on external factor. The moment we trick our mind to give an external factor as a reason for doing something or not doing something, we are losing an opportunity to purify ourselves. Actually, everything becomes an opportunity for a devotee. A devotee sees all circumstances mercy of the Lord, both the gain and the loss. If the Pandavas, who were constantly with the Lord, had to undergo so many difficulties, how are we supposed to assume that there will be no difficulty in life? And why should you expect that there should be no difficulty? But the point is, in that difficulty, if we function as a servant, we get purified. But as soon as we find a fault with someone, some situation, somewhere, without trying to be part of serving, our opportunity to do service is lost. By engagement in the service of the Lord, the designative disqualifications are removed. If we do not, we may have so many disqualifications, but if we engage, those disqualifications will go. But if we do not engage in the devotional service properly, then those disqualifications which exist will manifest. And as pure souls, they become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. So when one is engaged in devotional service, the so-called disqualifications will go away and one will become pure enough to go back to the spiritual world. So it is, here you can see that Prabhupada writes that the fallen girls under the clutches of Bhaumasura sincerely prayed to Lord Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. Sincerity of purpose. There should be one person, one purpose. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Resolute determination to practice Krishna consciousness, to serve the spiritual master. There is no two paths. There is no two purposes. There is only one purpose, to dedicate one's life to the service of the spiritual master. And whatever spiritual master orders, one should do, and what is not ordered, one does not do. There is nothing else. Life is simple. And for those who do not have this principle, their intelligence are many-branched. They cannot come to a conclusive understanding. Their lives are not simple, always complicated. Why? Because I use my extra intelligence and not take to the intelligence of my spiritual master. Life is very simple for a devotee, simply to follow the orders of the spiritual master. The words emanating from the spiritual master has to be taken very seriously. The Lord therefore accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified, because sincerity of purpose and with devotion. Such auspicious glorification was still more glorified when the Lord played with them as the most devoted husband. Lord is willing to become like an ordinary man and present gifts, stay at home, exchange things. It is mentioned in Krishna book that these queens, each of them had a palace, each of them had furniture, a lot of decorations and so many things in the palace. They had thousands of servants. But each of these queens were eager to serve the Lord personally. They would welcome personally the Lord when he's coming back. They would personally massage him. They would personally give him something to eat. Not because just they had some servants, they would just use servants for serving. No, they were so eager to serve the Lord personally. As soon as we have got 2 servants, 3 servants, we forget to do personal service. We think, okay, now service is not mine. I don't have to do anything. I'll just type 2 messages, order 2 people to do things, everything. They had thousands of servants, yet they were so eager to serve the Lord. We may get things done, but our heart will not be purified. There's a process to purify our heart, and that is what the process of Bhakti Yoga is meant for. It is not meant for any other purpose. There are so many materialistic men who are doing much better than what we are doing in many aspects of life, and we are not meant to compete with them. We are meant to see at the core, are we purifying our heart? If therefore anyone desires the Lord to become one's husband, the Lord fulfills such desires in full. So if Lord can do anything for his devotees. It's an exchange, it's a reciprocal exchange between the Lord and the devotees. The pure devotees do not desire anything except the satisfaction of the Lord and to please him, and the Lord intends to please the devotees. This is Bhakti Yoga. And we are meant to reach to this platform and not divert our attention to some other purposes, some other things, and lose the real value of what we are being provided with, an opportunity to purify ourselves and experience wonderful reciprocation of the Lord. So purification is necessary. And purification is not possible without surrender sincerely. Surrendering means to have confidence the Lord will protect, I am not alone. To recognize that I do not want anything else in exchange for my devotional service. Not to desire independently of the Lord, that I will do something else which I think is important. No, one has to align with the desires of the spiritual master and the Lord. Surrender means not to think I am knowledgeable. Just recognize that I am not knowledgeable. I should hear superiors. I should hear my spiritual master. Guru more murk dekhe. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that my spiritual master Swami is a fool. He says, you are a fool. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts. Why? Because we are fools and we don't accept. He's trying to teach us so that we learn something. That although we are fools, we do not think we are fools. Actually, unless we do not recognize, the idea of surrender will not come. These are very beautiful instructions, and anyone can be elevated by the mercy of a pure devotee. In the earlier days, only Brahmanas or some selected men were given an opportunity to practice spiritual life. Today, from which background we are all coming and being able to do such devotional service to the Lord, it's all mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It is not possible to enter into a temple, do devotional service, do deity worship. What all opportunities we are being provided with by the spiritual master, and yet when we are not careful, the same opportunity can be lost. To cook for the Lord, to sing for the Lord, all these things are very rare. Only selected families who take birth, they might get an opportunity. Someone who went through Gurukul system for so many years, born in a specific family, may get such an opportunity in some temple. But from where are we coming and where are we getting these opportunities? So it is important that how merciful the spiritual master is, how wonderful this process of Bhakti Yoga is. And therefore, if we sincerely surrender, then that purification will happen. And in that purification, we can see, Prabhupada says, that they are the ones who become eligible to enter the spiritual kingdom. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki